Oh, Tony Brown.
Hi.
What's up, buddy?
I'm not dead yet.
Well, thank God.
I mean, dead inside, but not physically dead.
It does happen. We are live on YouTube. I see the test camera over here, so it actually is working this time. We're actually live to everybody. So, yeah, it's awesome. We have a special guest with us tonight.
Yay, finally.
Bring out our music.
He's
the one,
special, all right.
The only, the legend, our very first guest we ever had on Escape Pod, the one, the only, Scott Sexton.
In the bathroom.
Not in the bathroom.
He's not in the bathroom. He's getting a grip on things. What?
Oh, shit. Hold on. You guys keep talking. I forgot something.
Oh, okay.
You said get a grip on things, referencing to, well, I think we know what we're referencing. And he says, hold on, I forgot something. Already off to a great start.
Exactly. Well, that's no small feat, right, Tony? Anyway. Uh-oh, here he comes. Okay, we ready? Oh, I don't know if we're ready for this. Here we go.
My coronavirus mask. I'm prepared.
Oh,
that's awesome.
That's definitely going to be the new thumbnail for the episode. I gotta do a solo on that one. Right, here we go.
I got a new present. Daniel hooked me up with a new mask.
That's it's Pentagon, right?
Yeah, Penta 0M. Penta no fear.
Right. Where's my camera there? Yeah. My son wanted him for Halloween a few years ago, actually.
Oh hell yeah!
Yep. Big fan.
Daniel hooked me up. I was like, hell yeah. She didn't even tell me. It just showed up in the mail the other day. I was like, fuck yeah, one more to add to the collection.
That's awesome. I'm not sure if that's Dr. Fauci approved, but I love it. So
I did it right though.
Yeah, oh, there she is.
And look at this. I can clean the inside too.
Oh, that's awesome. You guys look like a great tag team. 2020.
Oh, I love it.
All right, I'll let you guys get back to it.
Oh, hey, wait, don't go anywhere. Check that shirt.
Oh, show us your
videos, bitches.
Nice.
Nice. Oh, I thought it was looking at your tits. I mean, nice shirt. Welcome back, Tony.
Now I'm disappointed, Tony.
Woo! That thing's too hot.
Well, the show's already been derailed. This is fantastic. I like it a lot.
I figured you'd appreciate that, Scott Sexton.
I appreciated it.
Hey, look, we got our names there. Good deal. And also, we are, let's see, on YouTube right now. Obviously, it seems kind of weird to say. It's like, if you're watching live, then they know you're on YouTube. But one point is that you can actually go into the live chat and you can actually ask questions of Scott Sexton tonight, and we'll get them on if they're appropriate. Scott's like worried about it. He's like, don't worry, they only appear unless I want them to. See, like this test one. See,
no. We want inappropriate questions.
I'm kind of irrelevant at this point, so I'm not sure how many questions you'll get tonight. It's been a while.
That's all right.
Been out of the game, but definitely looking forward to talking some professional wrestling with you guys tonight. I, just like everyone else, the WrestleMania season just wrapped up, so I'd be lying if I said I didn't have that itch. Unfortunately, China kind of derailed my hype train, so to speak, and put this.
What do you know about China? What did she give you?
No, all right. Way too soon. Need about 9 more of those bell salutes there. She did.
How about this one? Get the purge going. Yeah, that's it. Oh.
So, okay, so one night in China derailed your ability to wrestle.
Well, I watched that many times.
Okay, so far this is going great. Oh, goodness, too funny.
Anyway,
right. Yeah,
I miss you fuckers' faces.
Yes,
I'm glad we're 6 miles apart.
Yeah, easily.
Yep.
Well, David and I are like 1.5 miles now, so
Nice.
Yeah, so that's cool. I can walk across the cornfield like a fucking hillbilly and go visit David now.
Just ride a goat.
I just
Right
keep
away.
getting closer and closer to him.
That's for all those times you kept missing those podcasts. He's making sure you'd always be available now.
Exactly.
Exactly. I just
Yeah.
pipe into his house now. Is the podcast on? Oh shit. Send him a link and he's like, let's go. So yeah, the StreamYards is definitely nice because it's worked
I
out
like
for us.
it.
Because like we're able to get you tonight, and we're still being social distancing and all that kind of good stuff. But hey, let's talk about what the effect has been on the wrestling community, all different aspects of it, with the current condition of the country with the COVID-19 outbreak pandemic into the world.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, professional wrestling is no different than any line of business right now during this COVID-19 pandemic. The economy as a whole is definitely heavily impacted, and professional wrestling more so than a lot, man. I mean, a lot of these guys, especially on my level, independent wrestling, which is by far hotter. Pre-COVID was probably hotter than it's ever been in its existence, and these guys make their money off shows. They off live shows with attendance. There a lot of these shows on my level are paid. It's called paid off the gate. So if you draw 100 people and $10 a ticket, so it's $1,000. That $1,000 is spread throughout the locker room after the fees for the building is paid for, and your event staff, and of course the promoter already probably takes half that right off the top because, well, we all know promoters are going to promote, right?
Right.
So these guys, like these independent wrestlers right now, are suffering, and I don't know how many of them. I was fortunate enough, and still am fortunate enough, if I decide to come back into the ring, that I have a nice job outside of professional wrestling, and I don't know how many of those guys have that same luxury. A lot of those guys rely solely on that income from professional wrestling. So from an independent standpoint, it's absolutely killing it right now because they don't have contracts where they can continually getting paid. They're probably a lot of those guys are probably out looking for jobs right now and doing odds and ends things, trying to bring in a little bit of income. It's very sad. One of the things that I have found absolutely incredible is there's a site called Pro Wrestling Tees, and it's a site out there for professional wrestlers, independent wrestlers can market themselves, sell T-shirts out there. They also do T-shirts for some of the larger companies like AEW, New Japan. I think they got Impact's T-shirt deal now too.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw and the one that comes to mind is Dolph Ziggler is going out and buying like 10 shirts per random wrestlers. And, these guys get royalties off their shirts. So, yeah, I think the royalties, someone posted the royalties. It was like $70 is what they got. But right now, when that's the only income you have, man, $70 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Whenever you don't have anything coming in and you randomly get $70. So huge shout out to Dolph Ziggler for doing that. And that just shows his upbringing and his love for professional wrestling. But from an independent standpoint, back to your original question, man, it's really struggling right now. I suggest if you guys, are fans of any professional wrestlers at any level, check out Pro Wrestling Tees. Message them in their Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, see if they have memorabilia, shirts for sale. Support them wherever you can, guys. This is no idea when this is going to ease up for any state. And without live shows and live attendance, these guys aren't making any money. So at least at the independent level.
Right. Yeah. And, we actually have a couple of matches, including a couple of yours, on our YouTube for free to people can watch. Just to, if you want to fill the void, if you've never seen these matches before, or you want to watch a classic match, jump on, like, subscribe this video, and then click on through, and you'll see the Outbreak Wrestling, playlist that'll have a bunch of different wrestling shows and stuff, and a few interviews with you on there too. Hey,
yeah, you guys is and not to be an ass kisser, but you guys have some great production.
No, start kissing.
When UCW made their brief return a couple of years ago, you guys were there for a lot of those shows, and they had some really nice lights and cameras that you helped run, and mixing that in with the technology, the editing, and of course the filming that you had. You guys really put on a great product. I
Thanks,
go
man.
back from time to time and watch some of my favorite matches. Thankfully, and that'll get me to a story. During this quarantine, I've been watching some of my old wrestling videos on VHS, and I'll watch those. And then if I can pay attention to those, and I'm watching these, and I'm like, man, this footage is awful. But then I'll go and I'll watch. Thankfully, two of my all-time favorite matches that I've had, you guys produced. So going back and watching those on
Thanks,
great,
man.
great footage, very professional, fantastic, man. Like that's awesome, and I absolutely love watching that on YouTube. So definitely recommend checking out Outbreak's wrestling page, local wrestling, some fantastic camera work, and they're halfway decent guys too.
Well,
Man, we love wrestling, man, and that was the
We
best
do.
way we could figure out that we could support, our friends and even people that aren't our friends that are just, want to
Great
make a
wrestlers.
name for themselves, is just go film it, and put it out there and get eyes on people that might not necessarily have eyes on them because, sometimes local is just really local, they don't even break
I think
out
he
into
froze up.
into a regional scene.
I'd like to think you got EC3 signed because of his great match he had with me and the fantastic footage that you guys displayed.
That was all it was.
I'm pretty sure that was just because of you guys. So,
well, it didn't last too long,
enjoyed watching it.
unfortunately, but
yeah.
Which I almost think that was a bad idea because, man, they wasted him. They signed him and then they just fucking wasted him.
And I think that's probably a good transition to how this COVID-19 is impacting, the wrestling giant, the World Wrestling Entertainment. Obviously they went through, I guess it's maybe been a week and a half, 2 weeks now, and they absolutely did. They cleaned house.
Yep.
And they got rid of so much talent, which, some of the talent that they've got rid of, if they would have done that 6 months ago, those guys would be fun. They could go out and they would be making a killing on independent shows.
Definitely.
Fresh off TV. I mean, so first off, the very first two that I believe were the Revival, former tag team champions. When those guys were in NXT, they reset the way tag team wrestling should be. They personify what tag team wrestling is to today. If you want to study tag team wrestling, if you're an aspiring professional wrestler and you want to know how an actual tag team wrestling match works, first off, go watch the Rock and Roll Express. Secondly, watch the Midnight Express. Thirdly, go watch the Revival. Those guys are wrestling fans, and you can tell, and they can put together a tag team match. Those guys have been asking for their release for quite some time now, and to get it during this pandemic is probably bittersweet for them. Yeah,
it's a little dirty.
Yeah,
it's a little dirty.
But those guys are going to make a killing. I thoroughly expect them to probably end up in AEW, but who knows? That's my guess. But then just a day, maybe 2 days after that, led to the snowball effect, so to speak, and just. Yeah. The WWE went through and they got rid of, and they didn't just get rid of professional wrestlers. They cut, and then they did what's called furlough. They furloughed a ton of agents, and some of these agents are guys that professional wrestling is all they've ever known. You look at a guy like Lance Storm was one of the cuts, and Lance was one of my all-time favorite wrestlers growing up. He had a wrestling school in his hometown in Calgary. Was running that smooth. I mean, he had so many people from that school go on to make a real damn good career out of it for themselves. He gave that up to go on the road for WWE. I think it was maybe like 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, and then bam, right into that. Now he's cut, and who knows when he's going to go back. I would expect that they're going to hire him back once there's a need for him, but what's he got to fall back on right now? You just hope that all these guys who got cut were really smart with their money. I mean, they're making a ton of money, but you just hope that they're smart. Other agents were like Billy Kidman got cut. Kidman is one of the producers. Fit Finlay. Some of those guys, man, just absolutely crazy. And then if you go back to the talent, EC3, we mentioned him earlier. EC3 was I got the opportunity to wrestle him. Find it on Outbreak Podcast, is Outbreak Wrestling's YouTube channel.
Thanks, man.
I highly recommend it because A, I was awesome in that match, and B, he was even better. But it's probably my
I don't know if
all-time
he's
favorite
better.
match. But you know, EC3 was a cool dude. He was really cool to my kid. EC3 and I rolled up together from the airport that morning, and
Awesome.
my kid was with me, and he interacted with my child. This shows what kind of nice human being he was. And then you get in Impact Wrestling, he was the top star. And
was
he goes to
awesome.
WWE, he goes NXT, and they didn't really do much with him. And you're thinking, okay, they're kind of keeping him out of the limelight. They're going to bring him up to the main roster, make a star out of him. And they just didn't do anything with him. And I don't see how you don't. Guy looks like $1 million. You look at EC3, and that's what a professional wrestler.
He's got everything, man. Everything.
His abs had abs. I mean, if your abs have abs and you're that big, then you need to be used. But
like a 12-pack.
What you can tell is, and what's going to be the turning point on these guys is a guy like him. The day he was released, he went and cut this massive promo, and he's kind of changed his persona, and he's trying to re-image himself to make a run on the independent scene, and he'll be signed up somewhere in Impact or AEW. He's going to make some company a lot of money. That is going to come back and hurt the WWE in the long run, because EC3 is money. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, fantastic stars in New Japan, and then they came over here and WWE kind of watered them down. Unfortunately, it seemed like that really shocked me, because they were just on WrestleMania. They were in the Boneyard match with AJ and Taker.
Yeah, exactly.
That match was probably the talk of WrestleMania, either that or Bray and Cena, and they were involved in that match. And how are you going to just cut those guys? They were still in a main angle. But those guys are going to make a ton of money. They're already hinting and going back to Japan, and they're going to be twice as big now than they were before over there. Personally, I would love to see them go over and kind of do like the NWO used to do when they split into two. I would love to see them maybe rebrand their own version of Bullet Club, do a little Bullet Club old versus Bullet Club new, and man, that new that's going to draw some money. Mike Kanellis was a guy that I personally loved that WWE did absolutely nothing with. You're talking about a guy who really set himself up to be a role model. He fought off drug addiction, beat off that, and he's got a hot wife. He probably beat off that
too. So do you. What?
But, he did. Mike Kanellis is a great wrestler, and he'll end up back on his feet somewhere too. Him and his wife just started a new podcast as well. Seems like a lot of wrestlers are doing that in their off time now. But I think he'll sign a deal somewhere. He's got a great look to him, and the guy can go in the ring. Other notable ones that I can think of off the top of my head releases, Rusev. Man, you talking about another guy who just exemplifies what a professional wrestler should look like. Rusev got himself in amazing shape. And speaking of guys with hot wives, Rusev got himself in amazing shape. And
he got Rusev Day over like fucking crazy.
Yes.
Like, how did they not roll with that?
And, they just kind of just didn't do anything with him. It's like WWE punishes guys who get themselves over. So we just talked about Rusev, and that leads me to Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder,
man.
like, we're doing this podcast today. When Zack Ryder started doing his social media outbursts, so to speak, podcasts weren't really a thing. All these social media websites weren't really a thing. Zack Ryder was going off, and he brought social media and professional wrestling together, and he made himself a star and never got credit for it. So he's going to make great money. He'll be in AEW. Kurt Hawkins, another guy that WWE released during this COVID-19 thing. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't believe the release was for COVID-19. If you listen to what everybody's saying, they were just making budget cuts, and they're trying to state that typically after WrestleMania, they cut people anyway. Tomato, tomato, right? I mean, it happened. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe it's not. But those are just some of the guys that got released, and there's so much more talent that got unfortunately released, and they're going to move on. But back to your original question, David, one of the things that WWE was allowed to do is, they got the president and the governor of Florida to sign off that WWE was an essential business.
Isn't that crazy?
Absolutely crazy. And you'll see some of these guys who post videos of them traveling on airplanes with like 5 other people, and they're still performing live shows. What I think people fail to understand is, yes, Vince financially is not making money from fans being in the building, right?
Right.
When you're at that level, though, the money from the fans is like me picking up a quarter out of my pocket, slinging it on a table, and not seeing it the next day, because you're making money off commercials that you sell for the television. So
Yes, sir.
you make more money off a 30-second commercial than you probably make my salary by 30 minutes of commercials within a television show. Well, in one night,
Exactly.
you probably make my year's salary,
Man,
because
we need hot
commercials sell.
Sexton money.
I'm probably being kind of generous there.
I'm just playing.
But that's where they make their money. So of course they want to be able to provide live content. If they just run reruns, nobody's going to watch it, because everyone's got their WWE network. They're producing live content now, and it is neat. But what I feel sorry for are the actual workers. Professional wrestling hurts. If you're in the ring, it hurts. The one thing that helps you get away from that pain and the feeling in the ring is the crowd interaction. That's what really bumps your adrenaline up. So it is a little more difficult to turn it up that extra notch, but these guys are going above and beyond. WrestleMania was incredible for what it was. The Charlotte Flair Rhea Ripley match, fantastic wrestling match. Bray and Cena was comical. AJ and Taker, amazing. Rollins and Owens tore it down. Those guys went out there with no crowd, no extra adrenaline rush, and that's why they're out now. That's why they make the money that they do, because they can perform no matter what. And WWE is not going to hurt from this. They're going to miss out financially, yes, but they're not hurting. I did see that AEW is trying to. I believe they're going to start doing TV tapings here in May in Florida. Because they've been deemed an essential business as well. The one interesting thing that I keep up with a lot of wrestling social media, and the one interesting thing that I'm seeing right now is this the time for a union to form in professional wrestling? And that is in any forms of business for the most part, unless you're like a laborer, like a construction worker, an apprentice electrician. The word union is pretty much frowned upon, and especially in professional wrestling. But that is something now that term is something that is being thrown around a lot, and that would be an absolute game changer if that's something.
Yeah. Well, I know Vince has been trying to do that for years. I mean,
well, Vince doesn't want a union.
Well, excuse me, he's been trying to stop it for years. Let me rephrase that. Sorry.
Vince definitely does not want a union.
Oh no,
that will take it'll take the power out of his hands. Vince is a smart individual. Obviously, I mean saying that is also saying that the sky is blue during the day if it's clear. Like Vince McMahon is one. There's no it's no mistake that President Trump, when he wants help on opening the economy, that Vince McMahon was one of the people that he looked to. Vince is a very intelligent man, and he understands that these cuts, probably for the foreseeable future, make him look like an asshole. But you know what? 3 or 4, a year from now, are they even? No one's going to be talking about it, right?
Right.
And that's money he saved. So let's say hypothetically, all these guys make, on average, $80,000 a year. I think they let go of, I don't know, like, let's say they basically freed up probably million and a half, $2 million worth of salary for some of these workers. And now, would any of those guys turn around and make them that much money with the way that they're currently being used? Like I said, I think EC3 is going to go on and make millions in the business. But when WWE was using him, nobody was buying EC3 merchandise. No offense to the guy, but you want to buy merchandise for the guy you see on television. So why Gallows and Anderson, fantastic. They probably sold a ton of merchandise, but if they weren't being used at that time, if you can expend them, make them expendable. You almost, for the guys that's there in his own personal, and this is going to make me sound greedy and like an asshole, you almost can't blame him for what he did. But do I agree with it? Absolutely not. You know, you could have waited till this was over if you really wanted to cut these guys. You know, honor these guys for now because they're going to struggle making money, just because there's no work out there. I mean, you let them go at a time where they can't, like I said, they can't just go down the road to a show by their house, make $300 or $400 and make another 200 probably in memorabilia because there's no shows going on. So now they're grouped in with those independent wrestlers that we discussed earlier, as in no incoming income. And it sucks, man. It sucks for them. Overall, Vince did what Vince had to do for his business, but I think it was kind of selfish and it hurt a lot of guys. But those guys are going to be fine once this opens back up because the guys he let go are super talented and they're going to go on and make a lot of money.
So I got two questions for you then. Kind of go back to what you were just talking about. With all the cuts, do you think really not COVID related, but do you think it had to do with the fact that Vince lost his ass on the XFL and he owes so much money on that? Do you think that had anything to do with it?
First off, that is an amazing cup.
Thanks.
Second off,
wait till you see Tony's.
So, you know, the big rumor going around is that when Vince did the Saudi Arabia shows, which was very controversial because of all the blood money, so to speak. You know, he has so much money. I don't know if I think the XFL was going to fail regardless. I mean, we live in America, and America runs off NFL. It accepts no imitations, and it's nothing's ever going to compete with it. It's just, you know, and it's just like WWE. You would think the one company who's kind of in the same ballpark would understand that. I love AEW, but AEW is never going to actually compete with WWE in regards to what they are, because WWE is not professional wrestling. It's entertainment. You know, I mean, it is entertainment.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but let me ask you this, because, I mean, if you look at the numbers before they had to stop the XFL, the numbers were pretty good. I mean, some of the stadiums were having, you know, more fans in the stadiums than for like the Chargers and the, just saying. So they
That's not hard to do, David.
Well, my point is that's still an NFL team, and they still had some number. Now, obviously, it was building, and they were actually, some of the games were pretty good. Some of the people that were playing on it have actually now been signed by NFL. So not all of them, but a few of them have. Which happened, I think, Ocho Cinco and a couple others. You know, that's how they got into the NFL, was, you know, from other team efforts or football. So now, like I said, I don't necessarily know. I don't know that they were trying to be the next NFL. I think they were trying to take a little nice piece of the pie. You know, be like well, for some, you know, like in wrestling with NXT. The up-and-comers or the ones that maybe got missed or passed over, they were trying to be that kind of, fill that kind of void where there's still some football when it wasn't football season. But I mean, but it didn't. Obviously, this really shot him in the foot, you know. But if it didn't happen, what do you think it would have maybe gone on, or at least for another year?
I think they would have finished the season.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
You think it was it then?
Yeah, I don't know how long it would have carried on, and the reason I say that is because it's, you know, I'm sitting here tonight, and you know, over to the left of me, the NFL draft's on. NFL draft has been so different this year, and it's just
funny. It's like, on in front of me too.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's what that the NFL is the staple of football in America. XFL, like you said, was trying to be something different, and they did have great ratings. And I watched a couple of the games, and I was impressed. Mm-hmm. I think the very first go around many years ago, they tried too hard to be separate. And this year they toned it down, and I think that's why you saw better games, because they tried to go back to that. But, you know, it's kind of like, you know, we all live in the same town. A new restaurant opens up. The first 3 months that it's here, you can't get into it.
Right.
Six months. So 3 months after the 3 months you couldn't get into it, guess what's happening? It's closing its doors. And I think that's what would have happened with the XFL. The new was going to wear off, and people were going to be like, okay, everybody goes to stuff while it's new and fresh. And then when the new wears off, it's kind of, well, we've all been in relationships that way too, right? I mean, once the new wears off,
I'm keeping my mouth shut.
you move on to the next one, and it's kind of unless you find something that works, and thankfully we've all three found something that works, but and I think that was the XFL's problem. I think the knee was going to wear off regardless if COVID-19 hit or not, and once
Get that new stink off of it.
Yeah. Hey, but in his defense, what better time to close the doors than blame it on COVID-19 instead of an internal failure, right?
Right. Exactly. Oh, we were up against. We just couldn't do it. But there is one question that, because of what you said about the NFL draft, who was the number one pick of the draft, and what team did he go to?
Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow. Number pick. Yes, Joe Burrow, LSU. With the Cincinnati Bengals. So
Bengals. He was a Heisman winner, wasn't he?
He was a Heisman winner, actually national champion last year.
National
It's going to be very interesting to see him in the NFL. The draft has been unique. I heard earlier that this is the highest rated draft in NFL history as far as views, and I'm like, there's nothing else on.
Right, exactly, because there's nothing else to see. This is right now. This is like sports drugs,
and that ties in with professional wrestling. Why would Vince not want to run live shows right now? People are itching for live athletic competition, and professional wrestling is going to do that. I don't watch football.
That's right. You watch wrestling on occasion.
Yeah, I bet you watch Raw.
Watches a lot of porn. What? Or makes it.
I
can't remember which it is.
I have no say so in the conversation you guys are having. So Joe Benson or whoever, yay, Bengals. Whatever.
Oh wait. Well, all right. We'll get back to something else that you want to talk about. I'm just kidding. So,
talk about football. That's cool. I just
had to bring that up since it just happened to pop in my head, and
I
know that Scott Sexton is a big fan of the Bengals.
I know. Every time I'm at David's house, he's like, the Bengals suck. They're never going to do shit. So I understand that conversation, but
No. So what about this Brady? I'm just kidding. We won't talk about that. Gronk in the house. Did you see that YouTube tweet? The tweet he did? Did you see that tweet he did where it showed Tom Brady like doing a conch horn, and then the birds flying, and then out of nowhere here comes Gronkowski running through the woods. I'm a little tired, but I'm here.
So this side of me, the non-professional wrestling side of me, absolutely loves Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah.
This side of me is sitting here going, so you're telling me you're bringing in Rob Gronkowski to host WrestleMania. Probably, I don't know what his contract was, but I guarantee your brother's not coming in for less than $1 million. But yet you're cutting guys who could be really beneficial to your company. And I think the problem with WWE is they are still on that fine line right now of, do you satisfy your independent wrestling fans who want to see all these independent superstars? Kind of like what AEW does. AEW uses a lot of homegrown talent and brings a lot of guys from the indies. That's why fans tune in there. They want to see these guys succeed. So Vince has been doing that over the years, and now he's kind of slouched off again. But then he's still bringing in these celebrities. He's trying to blend it together. But what happens, unfortunately, is let's say a guy like Finn Balor. Finn Balor's huge. Everybody loves Finn Balor, right? He comes from Japan. He worked his way up. Finn Balor's awesome. I'll watch his segment. Here comes Gronk. I don't care what you think about this, Gronk. I'm all independent wrestling. Go Japan wrestling. Then you got your normal fans, like just your normal guys who probably couldn't name you 20 wrestlers from the WWE roster, but they're just turning through and they're like, man, it'd be cool if The Rock was on tonight. But there's Gronk. This is so awesome. I'm gonna stay tuned in. So see, it's hard to combine those two fan bases, and that's what Vince is trying to do. It's smart if you can get it to work.
Well, here's I interrupt. Sorry, real quick.
No.
One thing is that the chat room is open. It's live chat. So if you have a question and you're in the chat right now, watching this on YouTube, just click on the live chat button. Go down. If you have a question for Scott, or you just want to say hi to us, just jump on in, say whatever, and we'll put it on the screen here, and we'll talk about it if you have a question. So do it. Go ahead. And also, there is one thing. God dare you. There is one thing that that came out today about the Gronk being a part of the NFL again. The official stance from WWE is that he is still a belt holder and anybody can challenge him anywhere. So
He's got
hopefully between now and the first game, he loses the title. But can you imagine some psycho fan running out on the field?
You're down on the
Wrestle!
field.
You know,
Knock him down and try and pin him would be
if the
hilarious.
So here's the thing. So you got Gronk, right?
Right.
And WWE recently went to Fox. NFL is a staple on Fox. You know you're going to incorporate something, even if it's in a preseason game for highlights.
Oh,
WWE is great about that. They're great about mixing sports entertainment with professional wrestling.
Yeah.
You're going to have a title change at a football game. Even if it's preseason.
Or maybe
it's going to happen.
Or maybe they'll have him in for like an interview, and then in the interview, somebody crashes in and pins him while on ESPN Live or something. That would be hilarious.
It's got to happen.
What just happened?
And guess what? That would be the talk the very next day.
Oh, yeah.
And so what?
And benefit them both.
That draws buzz. If that draws buzz, that drives sponsorship. That drives live TV tapings. That way there's still product because people are still paying that sponsorship dollars to air commercials because they know people are going to be watching. Intelligent. It goes back to what we said earlier. Vince McMahon is the most intelligent man in the world. I mean, he's
very smart.
People state that he, doesn't know the current product. He doesn't have to because he's going to make his money off something else. I mean, he may not make his money off Daniel Bryan, but guess what? For every 2 people who know who Daniel Bryan is, there's 5 regular fans who casually watch who don't give a shit about Daniel Bryan, but they see Gronk on there, they're ready to tune in.
Yeah.
Mojo Rawley's going to show up, take the belt in like a preseason interview, and then fucking Tom Brady is going to fucking take it from Mojo Rawley, and then Tom Brady is going to be the 24/7 champ.
The GOAT, right?
What you going to do, brother?
What better way of promoting that than saying the GOAT? I mean, Tom Brady's the greatest football player that's ever lived. If you could say that the greatest football player that ever lived was also at one time a belt holder for WWE,
huge,
man. I mean, it's all about the money. It's going to piss off your real wrestling fans. Oh, Tom Brady doesn't have a place here. This is so stupid. Who cares? It's going to draw ratings. It's going to draw sponsorship. It's going to get people intrigued. And that's
all over ESPN, CNN, Fox, fucking ringside, see whatever.
What's going to be on ESPN? Gronk winning the 24/7 title or Finn Balor winning a heavyweight championship? What's going to be on ESPN tomorrow morning? Exactly.
Gronk.
Right? It's going to be Gronk.
Yeah.
I mean,
Gronk played football.
Even a non-football guy is going to know that, hey, they throw a belt on a football guy. Well, shit, I got to check out ESPN just to see what the hell he's doing.
Yep.
And now the thing is we're so driven by social media, by likes and by comments and by shares. And that's what, you see.
Which is what you all should do here.
Absolutely. Good segue. But
thanks, man.
Think about how many GIFs are created now of Rob Gronkowski with the 24/7. I guarantee if you type in Gronk right now in your little GIF thing, whatever, the fucking peanut butter, whatever it is, if you type it in, I guarantee you that there's somewhere in the section, there's going to be a Gronk with a 24/7 belt. That is free marketing forever. Free marketing for the rest of your life.
Yep.
Anyway, sorry there. We went on a tangent.
No.
That's good.
I'm just checking out some see if there's any Gronk memes.
Of course there is.
Any new ones?
you find Gronk, and then I'm gonna pull back to my second question about the wrestling union.
Yes.
So my thing is, I think a lot of maybe mid-level, lower-level guys are all about it, but I have a feeling that the top-level guys don't want it because I think that might affect their pay. Because they can get millions and millions, and then they're okay with it. Hey, I can afford not having health insurance or whatever because I got money to fucking wipe my ass with. But, like Seth Rollins, he's never going to have to worry about money the rest of his life. But, you take a jobber, that is barely making it. I mean, and just to totally throw this out here, saw Chase Stevens the other day on Impact. I was like, fuck yeah, Chase is on TV. Yep. Probably one of the greatest fucking wrestlers that I fucking ever had the chance to sit down and talk to.
Yep.
But I'm sure, he's probably struggling a little bit for some health insurance and stuff. But, so he's like, yeah, we probably need a union. But there's those upper tier guys are probably like, I don't care either way. I'm a fucking millionaire. Think Cena cares about a hotel fucking hospital bill? He don't give a shit if a union starts or not.
And look, WWE is no different than any corporation. If you're making serious money in a corporation, you become a corporate guy or gal. WWE is going to be the same way. However, if you're on the lower end, you always want to make more money, but you can't find a way to do it. And that always stirs the conversation of unionizing, whether it's the banking industry, construction, no matter what you do in jobs, and professional wrestling is no different. No matter what you do in life, the word union is going to be there if there's a chance. If you're not making money. Like I said, if you're up at the head of a corporation, do you want union? No, you don't care because you're making money, you're set. But you're down there, you're fighting, you're scrapping for pennies, and you're working your ass off, but you're not getting the credit you want. What's the best way to solve that? Unionize it, right? So yeah, and you mentioned Chase Stevens, guy like that, man, fucking $1 million body, $1 million talent, and just he didn't get signed, man. It's a missed opportunity. He had some great shots, made a great name for himself around this area. You say Chase Stevens, man, there's not a single person that could out wrestle or outwork Chase Stevens. He could go
every time he walked into anywhere I was at on any show he was, dude, everybody fucking got hoarse because they were fucking popping for him.
So to me, a good independent wrestler and that's going to draw money, and not these guys who do a lot of like spots and different things like that, because those guys are super talented. But the old saying, I think it was Scott Hall or Kevin Nash once said, it's the guy that the girls want to be with and the guys want to be, and that's Chase Stevens to a T, right? Like
exactly.
Yeah. So I guess some of the local people that are around here that we all know. Some of them you worked with, some of them you've trained. Like the Murphy boys. They're still doing really well. I talked to their dad the other day, and he's super proud of them, man. They have really been knocking it out, and they took training from you, buddy.
They did, and great kids. First off, this great actual human beings, aside from being professional wrestlers, and they really picked it up quick in training. I'm blessed to have met them and to have the opportunity to train them, and I'm hoping they learn from my mistakes and they go a lot further than I ever did. And I think they will. The COVID-19 impacted them. They were scheduled for a huge show in Evansville, Hero and Legends at the Coliseum.
Yeah,
they were in a pretty big spot on that show. They were gonna do some really good shit, and unfortunately, that show was canceled. They're gonna get back on their feet.
Yes,
they are great kids, and honestly, if they can stay focused and stay on track, the future is freaking so bright for those guys. But so many talented guys around here. But thankfully the Murphys, they both do have jobs that they could fall back on during this time.
Right.
So thankfully for them, they're not hurting. But then you look at guys like Chris Michaels. Chris Michaels probably hands down the
legend,
best professional wrestler within thousands of miles from here. And wrestling's all he's ever done, and that's his sole source of income. So without shows right now, I don't know, and I'm not trying to judge or state
right,
that.
Of course.
I'm assuming, based off past conversations with Chris, that he may be hurting a little bit right now, and that really sucks to see a guy devote his life to something and it's never really reciprocated as much as he's put in and as much as he deserves. You're talking about a guy who had hands-on training with Randy Orton, with hands-on training with John Cena, Batista. Man, sucks to see those kind of guys impacted. But it's not just the young kids who are coming up scrapping right now and clawing and trying to get a spot through this and being left off shows now because of the COVID. But then you look at your legends who that's all they've known. They're still making a killing. And guys, I don't even know what the future holds. Even if they start opening stuff up again, what kind of crowd base? How's it going to be? Are the fans going to be required to fit 6 feet apart? Because if that's the case, how many people are you going to be able to fit in some of these buildings that independent shows are held into? If they have to have specific standards of fans being so far apart, you're supposed to have an ass every 6 inches. 6 to 8, whatever it is. Like Jim Ross said the analogy and beyond the mat. But if you can't have that, in an independent show, if you have to be out, that square footage is so important because that square footage is 1 to 2 ticket sales potentially that you're losing out on just because you have to meet some kind of state requirement or cold now, and that stuff's scary because it's gonna
Right.
the world as a whole is going to change completely.
It
in
is.
every aspect. These right here, what we're doing is going to be the new norm, in my opinion, for a lot of things.
Yeah.
My real job, I work a lot with the court systems, and one of the things we're discussing right now is going forward is more telephonic and virtual like court hearings,
Yep.
because attorneys don't want to come in there. The tricky part is going to be juries. Do you want a jury right now? Do you want people that close in a jury together?
Right.
Probably not.
See, I actually got called for jury duty right in the middle of March when this stuff first started getting serious. And about a week later, they sent me a message and they were like, we're holding off on all jury duty. Thank you for your civil duty. We're not going to need you for the time being. So, I want to support, all that stuff. But at the same time, I was like, cool, I don't have to do jury duty.
Yeah, exactly.
Who
Don't
knew
want to
it
end
took
up
a virus to
there.
get-
Yeah, exactly.
Because I
I
was
told you whatever
honestly
it takes.
I was honestly a little nervous about it, man, because I was like, fuck, man, I'm not sitting in this room with a bunch of people, and are they going to be hacking and are they sick or whatever? And I'm going to be stuck in this little jury box with some dude over here. So I was kind of like, man, I'm not really looking forward to this. And they canceled it. And I was like, cool. All right.
Well, we do know, though, if it moved forward and you were on it, it definitely wouldn't have been a hung jury.
Oh, boom. Well, wasn't for lack of evidence.
Right.
All right.
All
right.
Uh-huh. I'm gone now. My feelings are hurt.
Oh, come here.
Actually, Danielle's feelings are probably hurt more than mine.
Good thing your feelings are, because nothing else would be.
Oh, wow. All right, yeah. Show off your cup there, buddy. Your wife got you.
All right, well, check this out. Speaking of Danielle, look, that's awesome. My little friend Pan. That's my goat.
Awesome.
He's Pan.
Dude, that's a badass cup.
And that's the back of it. Because, I got to have something a little evil going on. But this was a little secret that Danielle and David's wife Stephanie hooked up, because she makes those badass cups. She like does. The Escape.
Yes, she does. Oh. Yep.
Yeah. So they kept that secret for me for a while because, Pan is my buddy. He's my fully intact, my bull goat. He's crazy as hell. He's destructive and evil.
He is a crazy man. Knocked down his own house one day.
Yeah. Dude, we bought one of those little like 12 by 12 portable buildings, those mini barns.
Yeah.
And that's what he lives in. Well, over like a 3-day period, he just got so pissed off that I didn't have much time to hang out with him. He knocked down the whole barn from the inside out, just headbutting it all the time. It was insane.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, if you're ever thinking about getting a goat, just be cautious because they will destroy everything.
So the goat, I mean, and this is a serious question because I've never owned a goat and don't know much about goats. Do they, and I can't believe that a wrestling podcast has led to a goat competition, but I have a serious fucking question about a goat.
Dude, this happens.
Do they, I mean, are they like that? Are they like, like dogs? Dogs are very emotional with their owners and stuff. Or do goats develop emotional feelings and make sure, because you said because of lack of attention, do they want that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah, they're goats are very sociable. Like you should never own just one goat. You should always have them at least in pairs. And we kept him intact. Like he's got his nuts. Most people don't want bulls, because they are really aggressive, just all that testosterone or whatever. But we kept him intact because we wanted to eventually have babies. So I didn't realize by keeping him intact, he was just going to be fucking nuts. Like he wants to play. He just basically wants to wrestle with me, really.
He wants to fuck a lot.
And that also, but he's got huge ass horns, and so his idea of playing is to play with me like other goats. So he wants to headbutt me and rip his horns into me because my legs are always bruised and everything. So like we'll wrestle, like I'll tackle him and he'll fucking like try to headbutt me and shit while I'm on the ground. Like it gets fucking rough, but he's just playing, and when he's done, he gets up, and then like 4th of July comes around or even a thunderstorm. He sits in his barn and he just cries. He's like, man, and I have to go in there, and he's like a little puppy dog. He crawls up in my lap and he tucks his head into my chest, and I just sit there home and he's shaking. So it's so crazy.
Just
Like in
scared,
one
yeah.
moment, he's just got all that testosterone. He's like, I'm gonna fuck up everything that I see. I'm just gonna destroy everything. But then, he's just like, he's a little boy because he's only like 6 years old. And then loud noises just scare the shit out of him. So he's like, where's my human at? And I just sit out there and I hug him and love on him. Of course, then, like David said, he likes fucking because he's a dude. So he tears through the fence, gets to our ladies, and we started out with 3 goats 5 years ago. We now have 13. So, yeah. So we went from.
Is he going to be an NFL player?
I believe he is. His child support is through the roof.
Don't let the other goat see his burner phone.
Man.
Just saying.
He's gonna have to have his own version of goat cheese to support that.
Exactly. He's full of cheese. That's for sure.
But yeah, so craziness. Yeah, goats are fucking nuts, man. But they're so fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
they're cool.
Thanks for
We actually have a couple of videos on our YouTube channel, the same one we're on right now. You can actually click on that has a couple of videos of the newest little goats, the baby goats that they in there are so adorable. And then some goat racing is another little video that was pretty funny because they just decided to take off racing.
Video, actually.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Star for sports.
Yeah, when I put the word racing in here, I was like, oh my god. Yeah.
So yeah,
a million views.
That's pretty much my life, man. COVID hasn't fucked us up too much. I'm pretty much a homebody anyway. Really all I did was hang out with David, go watch you wrestle. I was fortunate enough to travel with you a couple times. And that was great because that was one of the nights where I met Rhino and Chase Stevens and Chris Michaels and got to go and Sean Casey was there and just listening to those guys tell some fucked up stories that I will not repeat. Dude, that was an incredible fucking night. But, I was going to say, this whole social distancing thing, man, it really hasn't changed too much for me and Danielle. We've been lucky. I miss my family, but, everybody can come and hang out. We can stay apart.
So I have to ask because, I got a bad memory. Was the night that you went with me in the Rhino show, was that the night I was supposed to wrestle Brutus Beefcake?
Yes, it was because you were fired up about that shit.
I was, man.
Brutus the Beefcake Barber?
Yeah, what a piece of garbage, man. So
it was a charity show.
Yeah, it was a charity show. And brother, took the deposit because Brutus Beefcake's a legend, so he had to have a deposit. Anyway, he took the deposit, man, and didn't show up, didn't bother to go get licensed or anything. I was supposed to wrestle Brutus fucking Barber Beefcake, and then he did that. So it still worked out well. I ended up teaming with Sean Casey that night. I hit a sweet ass suicide dive. The big man left his feet. Remember that?
You did. Yeah, and that was and Kelly Klein was there before she was Kelly Klein.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Fuck Brutus Beefcake, bro. That's all you got to say.
Yeah.
He was such a turd, man. Just to do that for a charity show, and it's if he would have given some kind of heads up, it's fine. It's just disrespectful, and he's junk. I hated seeing him get a Hall of Fame rub. Like I really did. Like I loved watching the Hall of Fame, but I vetoed it that year because I'm like, it's Brutus Beefcake. He's garbage. Like I know firsthand he's junk. Why would I watch this? So.
Yeah, to bail on a charity show of all fucking things, just suck it up and show up, whatever. I mean,
I wish your goat would wrestle him.
Even fucking Jake the Snake showed up drunk. I mean, at least he fucking showed up.
Oh man. That's the good stuff, man. I'm glad to catch up with you guys for sure. I know you mentioned you're just a homebody anyway. One of the things I've been doing is reading this Tracy Smothers book.
Hey, there you go.
If you, I don't know where my camera is. If you guys do not know who Tracy Smothers is,
you should
podcast. You probably are watching it on accident because Tracy Smothers is a legend in professional wrestling, especially in this area.
Yes, sir.
So Tracy,
Hold that book up again.
Tracy is sick. Let's see if I can get it on camera. Tracy Smothers. The
I'll make
cover
you
is
the-
unique. For those of you
There we
who
go.
don't know, there is a story in here. Tracy Smothers has wrestled a bear on more than one occasion.
Oh,
Stories
shit.
to be found in here. You could tell by the lingo that Tracy had a lot to writing in this. If you've ever carried on a conversation with Tracy, this is like sitting underneath the learning tree because it's not an author changing the way that he talks. It's Tracy's words in here. Please purchase this book. It's well worth it.
What's the name of it?
And it's called Tracy Smothers. If you don't buy this book, everybody dies. I don't know if that's the title of the book. Let me see here.
That's
It does say
awesome.
that on the cover.
Or maybe down the spine. What's it
And
say on
again,
the
that's a
spine?
Tracy Smothers thing. I'll tell you what, I don't know if it's called I'm Barely Alive Now or he's just saying that in the title. But it's Tracy Smothers' book. Like I said at the bottom, if you don't buy this book, everybody dies. Tracy's an absolute legend and did a lot for me when I first broke into the business.
I think it's on Amazon, something like that.
It is on Amazon.
I'll find the link and I'll put it in the show notes in the description below.
Awesome. And like I said, Tracy's sick right now. Tracy does have cancer.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure where he's at in that. I haven't seen Tracy in probably over a year, unfortunately. But Tracy, I had my first ever televised match on television with Tracy. I did a run-in earlier that night and broke my finger during the run-in. And I was so nervous to wrestle Tracy Smothers, and he took care of me. And since that day, hey, Scott, how you doing, Scott? Like, always been super cool with me.
Yeah.
So, I'm one of fucking 3,000 people that can have a Tracy Smothers story or multiple stories because he helped everybody around here. The Murphys, he's really fond of the Murphys. Chris Michaels, Chase Stevens, he helped train those guys firsthand. Tracy Smothers is without a doubt Tracy is gonna never get the full credit that he deserves, and it's unfortunate. That's just he's freaking amazing. I definitely say, please go buy his book, support Tracy, and leave him a message on Facebook. He'll add you as a friend and just give him some words of encouragement. Tracy's a great dude, man.
Awesome, man. It's great for you to point that out, Scott. Thank you.
Yeah, he's one of definitely the earliest memories I ever have because I don't remember a lot about the first show my dad took me to, but it was at the Sports Center. Man, it was Jimmy Hart, Tracy Smothers was there, the Moondogs were there, Bill Dundee. That was probably 81, 82 because I was little. But, I remember, he was one of those guys that was just always like one of my heroes growing up, because even back then, he would come to like my elementary schools. He even came to our gymnasium, and there was a show at the gymnasium. It was him and Bill Dundee and Jerry the King Lawler and Debbie Combs. Like, I don't know if any of you old school people remember Debbie Combs, but one of the original fucking female wrestlers, man. And he was.
I'm assuming that was probably USWA, or if you talk to anybody in Owensboro, Kentucky, it's called Channel 7 Wrestling.
Yeah,
there you go. Exactly.
Yep.
Channel 7 Wrestling. That's right. That's right.
Was it. Yeah, it was definitely early 80s, man, because I couldn't have been. I don't even think I was 10 years old yet. So born in 75, definitely wasn't 10 yet. So definitely early 80s, man. Like that, I remember that just sitting up there.
You're old.
Yeah, I am old, but not as
Shut
old
up,
as that
Scott.
guy over that direction.
I'm going to mute Tony
And
now.
I must say, even though I still have less gray hair than both of you motherfuckers, so hey,
That's his platinum hair. Years of success causes platinum hair.
I forgot you have the silver fox hair.
I will say that in the event that I return to the ring, Silver Fox is no longer. So
good.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was a fun little run. I had a lot of fun with that. I debuted that against Crazy Steve, who just returned to Impact this week.
He did. It was so awesome when I saw him. I was like, oh yeah,
how cool is that? But I, watching my old videos and stuff lately have really inspired me to kind of want to go back to my roots. And funny,
the narrator of the Neckbreaker?
Narrator Neckbreaker will definitely be the name in the event that I possibly return. But right now,
it's gonna happen.
Right,
Tony? It's gonna happen.
I wouldn't mind having another match or two just to kind of go out on my terms. But if I'm being really honest right now, with this pandemic and stuff and no one knowing how it's going to proceed, the last thing I would want to do is potentially take money out of the pocket of some of these guys who are trying to get booked on shows near me and different shows that I could work. And not saying that, if I go off somewhere else, I would make a huge amount of money, but around here, I'm a pretty decent name and I would make some money. So why would I go and come back for a spot show because it's not my real job right now? Why would I go do a couple of shows and take money out of their pocket? I couldn't do that for them. And maybe, once shows get back up and running and crowds start coming in, then maybe, but I would feel like a piece of shit if I was making money and somebody else was left off a show because they were going to bring me in at this point. Like,
well, let me tell you, Scott,
Yeah.
there are people that'll come see you. So like when you're at a show or on a show, you're going to be a draw to bring it in to make them money too.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've got to get back in shape. I don't know if quarantine's been rough with everyone else, but I'm a
Man.
bitch, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. The refrigerator's just right there.
Let's see, what kind of analogy can I have? I'm eating like the Big Show and working out like who's somebody?
The name, the 2004 Big Show.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you what. Damn it, I'm trying to think of a good analogy. I guess you could say I'm eating like the Big Show and working out like Kenny Rogers right now. So.
Wow.
Working out at all.
Yeah, 6 feet under.
Exactly.
Oh, Lord.
But really though, man, you can come back.
Distancing a little too far.
What?
6 feet under.
It's perfect.
Yeah, 6. Wow. Oh, please, Kenny Roger fans, don't hate us. That was Tony Brown.
That joke
at
was
Tony
real
Brown.
gamble. That joke was real gamble.
At the real Tony Brown.
But no, dude,
God.
you can really come back, man. Because you're a name around here. You could come back and have a short run with an up and coming guy. Put them over, and then.
I'm not losing.
Well, come on, Scott. Let's be real. Oh, I'm just kidding.
But I'm just saying,
seriously.
you can put over a young guy, and then come back and then wrestle somebody that really that you looked up to, that you've always been looking forward to, that one shot that you just never got, and then go out that way.
So, locally, I have a bucket list, so to speak, of matches. Like, I want to go one-on-one with each of the Murphy boys. I trained them. I want to go one-on-one with them. My best friend growing up was Shane Maddox, and he partially trained me a little bit. I'd love to have a rematch with him.
There you go.
And then,
Love
of
to see
course,
that.
Lincoln Mosley and I were tag team partners for a lot of years. Would definitely love to potentially go one-on-one with him. Last time we went one-on-one together, we had a little mishap and ended up with a broken nose. So maybe I don't.
He had a little grudge there, didn't he?
Maybe that other guy that took your spot in Envious too. You could do something with.
Yeah, Stallings. I love Chad. But Chad's typically a heel, man. If I want to come back, I definitely want to be a heel too. But Chad's improved a lot, man. I watched him work not too long ago, and he's came a long way, and I'm very proud of him. Had a hand in training him a little bit too, but he kind of took the ball and ran with it and set on the learning tree at numerous shows.
Good guy.
So,
yep.
Very proud of him. And honestly, I mean, if I got back in shape and felt like I could go with someone outside of my local wrestling family, EC3's a free agent again, so I wouldn't mind that rematch in the event that something happens, because he brought out the best of me that night, and I mean, I think he cheated to win. I don't remember. I'll be honest, I kicked my ass, but that would be something that I would like to have to do over. My aspirations is making it to WWE or AEW have ended. I had some cool things, had some tryouts with WWE, very blessed to have. But I have 2 kids right now who do full-time travel soccer. Well, not right now because nobody's doing shit.
Right.
But that's my main focus, and then my family. But I tell you what, talking with you guys tonight is the first time that I've taught professional wrestling with anyone in probably 6 months. Prior to WrestleMania, I hadn't watched wrestling in about 6 months. So when Dave messaged me earlier this week and asked if I wanted to come on, I was kind of skeptical at first, because I'm like, man, I don't really know too much about what's going on now. But it's just, wrestling was something in my life for 30 plus years. And it's kind of like it's that memory that no matter how hard you try to push it away, it's always going to be there, and I'm always going to love it. And right now, there's lucky that the gym's not open, because after this conversation and talking to you guys, I'm motivated. I want to go push out some reps and do some shit and pretend to be Little Rocky for a little bit. But
you can go out to the farm and have Pan chase your ass around.
Hey, you know
I'll
what?
get you running.
And then on my book, we can have a fucking goat and me right there.
Hell yeah.
See if we can wrestle a goat. But
We'll do it. We'll do it. Well, don't write that memoir yet, because you still got a lot of wrestling left. Anybody?
well,
We believe in
I
you.
appreciate guys like you have always supported me, and you know, you were one of the first ones to bring me to podcast and promote me on social media. And you know, without you guys and without a few others, there would be no Scott Sexton, and that's no lie. Like all the fans that come to the show, whether you boo me, hate me, spit on me, which you better not do that shit now, because you know.
No,
but,
you know, knows.
You know, no matter what, if you've ever bought a ticket to see me, if you ever bought a ticket to see somebody else, and I happen to be there, and you got so pissed off at me that you cussed me, or that you like, man, I want to shake this guy's hand, or you asked me for an autograph, like. Those are memories that I'm going to carry to the grave with me. Hopefully not as soon as Kenny Rogers did. But those are memories I'm going to carry to the grave with me. And, you know, all jokes aside, that's stuff that I can tell my kids. You know, you go out in my garage and I have posters of all these events that I've been on hanging in my garage. And it's unreal to think that a little boy from small hick town in Kentucky was able to live out his dreams. And I've been fortunate to meet all these cool guys. And it's all because of you guys and the fans.
Yeah.
And it's fucking awesome.
Definitely the fans.
It's a cool story. And you know, if I never have, for one, my last match that I had was the absolute shits. I went to Big B Pro Wrestling one night. They're like, "Hey, you want to wrestle?" And I'm like, "Sure." Had an absolute garbage match. I think I wrestled in blue jeans and a cut off Eddie Gilbert t-shirt.
Wow.
So definitely, cannot go out that way.
We got you finished that on top, buddy.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna do that.
Gotta do better than that. Told my wife if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it like Edge did at Mania. I'm gonna buy all new gear. I'm gonna go out and blow my load.
Yeah.
Literally, not figuratively. And
I mean, Edge did blow his load in the ring one time. I mean, him and Lita were. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was real.
But I don't know when that will be. But I will have to go out on my own terms, just because that's who I am. I can't sit there and go, that match was awesome, or that match sucked. That's the last one I'm ever going to have. I want to go out on my own terms. And, you know, even if I don't make it through my bucket list, if I wrestle one of those guys and we do something halfway decent and halfway fun, it's something I can be proud of, then maybe that's it. So, all right, sorry.
Yeah. No.
You do have at least one beatdown coming, because there are plenty of times that you were wrestling and there was one cameraman that was constantly pissed off at you, that was ready to come down and whoop your ass, but he had a job to do. So, you know, that guy could never get down to the ring. So,
well, there's an age limit to wrestle me. So
he's talking about Tony Brown. My ass ain't getting in the ring. I couldn't even climb in the ring. Fuck. Oh Lord.
I just you know, maybe one of these days when everything's clear, whatever, we can just find an empty ring somewhere and I just want to take a body.
Because they're everywhere.
You know, a neck breaker or something, man. You know, because it's you know, you, before I even knew you, you know, I was an anti-fan. You know, I was a fuck Scott Sexton guy. You suck, whatever. I booed you and everything, and then I was fortunate enough to, you know, become your friend, man. So it was great, you know. Yeah. It was like one of those things, like, you know, a kid, you know, like a local kid got to, you know, look at a wrestler and be like, holy shit. Even though I wasn't a kid when I met you, you know, I've always been a kid at heart when it came to wrestling. You know, there's always been that big part of me that's like, I love wrestling. You know, I can suspend that belief, you know, these guys are fucking dicks or these guys are heroes. So, you know, even as an adult, I was like, yeah, this guy fucking sucks, man. Fuck this guy. I'm gonna boo him until I'm fucking, you know, I can't yell no more. And then, you know, fate had it, you know, we met each other and we became friends, man. So it was awesome, you know, and that's one of those things, man, that I just always loved about wrestling, man. It's just, even now, you know, it's like when I know it's time to boo you, you know, I'm up there, fuck you, I hate you, you're a fucking dickhead. And then when you turn a face, I'm like, yeah, I love you guys, but it's just
No, and
it's I love wrestling, man. I love that. Just it brings you back to your childhood, man. No matter how old you are, when you're in that crowd, man, you just forget about the world, and those dudes in the ring are just all that matters for that 5 or 10 minutes.
as cool as that is for you, it's also cool for me because like hearing stuff like that, like if a fan comes up to me, like for example, you and I met, and you're like, hey, so what you wrestle and blah blah. That's cool for me too because it's like shit, somebody else knows who I am. Like, I
Yeah.
try not to flaunt it around, but I'm proud of what I did, and it's
Yeah,
cool.
you
And it
should
has
be.
somebody recognize it. It's like, fuck, that's kind of cool. It's like. It's cool and it's really neat. So that's cool, man. I'm glad you told me that. Now the motivation machine's at like up to like 99.9.
Hell
There you
yeah,
go.
there we
So
go.
I'll tell you, Scott.
My wife's giving me the evil look right now. I don't think that's the people's eyebrow. Hey, I'll rock bottom you later, mama.
Wow. Thank you for letting him on. Thank you. Bless you for having him
Speaking
on.
of rock bombing the mama, how's
Yeah.
outside of Scott Sexton? How's the home life, man, during all this craziness?
I've realized that being a school teacher was never my thing. But all shit aside, like it's frustrating to be able to go to certain things and not. But I have absolutely enjoyed being at home with my kids. We're not constantly running to a soccer field. We're not constantly, running to work and back and running all over. And to spend this time. So I had never, up until this quarantine, I'd seen Captain America, the very first Captain America. It's the only Marvel movie I'd ever watched.
Oh, wow.
So we have watched. We're up to Doctor Strange is the next one on our list. So
Nice.
we have binged all the Marvel movies and just little things like that my son's been wanting me to do for 2 or 3 years that we didn't have time for. This quarantine has allowed for that. So as frustrating as the NTI and that's non-traditional instruction, school, as frustrating as that can be, getting that extra time with them, staying up a little later than normal, watching movies, snuggling. Putting together Legos with my kid. Different little making these memories and enjoying this time has been, man, I wouldn't trade that for anything. Like I hate the circumstance and I feel so bad for those who are way less fortunate. Man, it sucks. But we're trying. I don't know if it's us making the most of it. But I can tell you this right now, like I'm not ready to go back to work. I'm not ready for stuff to start opening back up right now. Because my kids are 10 and 8, and I feel like, especially when I was wrestling, I was going every weekend. So now when I'm here, we're not doing anything. And it's, 4 o'clock hits, I'm off my real job. Guess what, guys? It's time to Marvel movie it up or go outside and play some soccer or just spend time together. And it's
nice.
It's unique. So I appreciate you asking, man. We're doing good. I married my best friend and my soulmate, so we don't fight. And it's cool. We can sit here all day long.
Hold on. I know your wife, and that's a fucking lie because I know she's ready to choke your ass on any day now.
You leave what's about to happen in the bedroom out of this.
Alrighty then.
But I will say this though. So I just bought her a desk this week, and I had to move it upstairs. We used to work on the kitchen table together and like be 6 feet apart.
Right. It's your person at home. It's called good.
Kick my ass. But she's moved upstairs, and I've probably got more exercise in the past 2 days since she's had that desk because I'm constantly running up the stairs because I miss her. Like I went from being, so it's neat. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's different. It's life changing, but you got to adapt, right? And anything in life, you got to evolve and adapt to the situation. And once this is over, it business as usual may be a lot different than it was before. But at this point, enjoy it while you can. I know, obviously you got your farm, and like you said, you're a homebody anyway. Dave has probably driven his car all over the place because Dave likes to go.
I do like to go. I do a little driving.
And he got a cool ass fucking new car since fucking all this shit started too.
I saw the picture. Dave is if you know Dave, like you see Dave and you see like his movie collection, all this stuff, like you would not think he's such a car guy, but man, you love your cars.
I do.
That is so cool.
Thanks, man.
Is so damn cool. You don't have the Transformer anymore, but it's
No, the insurance on a Transformer is way more expensive than I can afford, especially when you had a daughter that was getting ready to start driving. And they're like, an extra $200 a month. Fuck that.
I remember Dave had an RX-8 before. I mean, like right as soon as they dropped, man. Because we had to go out. Because Dave and I used to work together at GameStop, so we had to go out. He had to let that bitch warm up because the oil pressure had to be up so high, right? Is that what it was before you actually could start it?
Yeah. Well, you're supposed to let it. You're supposed to let it run for at least 30 seconds because of the rotary engine to make sure it was all lubed up real good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He never let me drive it, man. What is?
No, not driving my new one either. I'm just fucking with you. Hey, I do have one more wrestling thing to ask you before we wrap this up.
Yes.
And you may or may not know about the we didn't prerequisite this question. I just curious if you've seen it. I haven't seen them yet, but I've been very interested in which is some things that have released on YouTube called the Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh.
And they have from what I understand, a really in-depth, gut-wrenching one of them out of I think 6 or 7 that are up on Chris Benoit. That's like, wow.
So funny you said that. I had heard about the Benoit one, and growing up, Benoit was probably one of my top 10 of all time. I love Chris Benoit. The story is so tragic. And I decided to try it. I decided one day, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of in a wrestling mood. Let's watch it. And I was hooked. So I immediately watched Benoit 1 and 2. Then I watched New Jack. Then I watched Bruiser Brody. I'm kind of a couple behind. I actually low-key loved fucking Dino Bravo when I was a kid. So I'm really excited to watch the Dino Bravo one. Nobody has ever said that they low-key love fucking Dino Bravo when they was a kid.
Yeah.
I low-key loved Dino Bravo when I was a kid. I don't know what it was. He just looked like a big dude that could kick my ass. Dark Side of the Ring is amazing.
Yeah.
I see some of the wrestling historians question some of the facts that are presented in there. Take it for what it's worth, though. It's still answering some questions that maybe we didn't have. I enjoyed the Benoit one because I like to investigate. So seeing some of the pictures from the crime scene and stuff is kind of surreal.
Right.
But seeing
it's gruesome, it's rough, but
they put it. Have you watched it? Did you watch the Benoit one?
I have not. I want to see it. He has.
What they did is they put.
Well, I brought it up.
A woman, Nancy's sister, with Benoit's son, and they kind of reconnected them through that, and that was.
Dude, it almost brought me to tears, dude.
Yes, gut wrenching, man. Like the way that was portrayed made you forget about how tragic the situation was because they brought them together there towards it. Spoiler alert, sorry, Dave. But they brought them together there.
No, you're fine.
Dude, it was absolutely insane. They do a great job on that. And what I love is that some television company is like, there's a need for these types of things in professional wrestling to be brought to the public eye. And I don't know what their ratings are, but I guarantee you they're fantastic. I mean, they have to be. And I haven't seen the Jimmy Snuka one yet either. I watched the Bruiser Brody one was interesting because that was always a story that intrigued me growing up. What was the other one that I watched? New Jack and Benoit.
Wasn't there the
New Jack? Anybody that thinks Mick Foley was the king of hardcore needs to learn about fucking New Jack.
So I knew a lot of the New Jack stuff, but I had no idea about the taser. Before he threw him off the scaffold, I had no idea about the fucking taser. So
that's one you gotta watch, David. That's just dude. It will be like, is this motherfucker for real or is this a TV show that was scripted?
Yes, one. Fantastic.
Now, did they do one on Randy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I watched Randy Savage. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they did Savage and Liz together.
That's pretty sad too.
But
they kind of joined it together.
Yeah, that one was really good too. But so obviously Benoit was my favorite. New Jack close second, and I really like the Brody and the Brawl too. I want to watch the Dino Bravo. I might watch that tonight. Actually, I'm glad you reminded me because that's something.
Well, do my job.
But dude, David, definitely watch New Jack because, dude, if anybody was fucking for real psychotic that was a wrestler, that dude is fucking insane. Like you'll watch all this shit with Mick Foley jumping off the fucking top of the hell from the cell, whatever, and you'll be like, oh, that's all he did? Look at what fucking New Jack did. He tried to kill some 80-year-old fucking guy one time.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Sorry.
Yeah, but watch the new Jack one, dude.
I will.
That guy is fucking insane.
What's that called? The time?
I think we're gonna wrap it up, fellas. I think we're gonna wrap it up. I want to thank Scott Sexton for being on, dude. Thank you so much for being a part of this tonight. And dude, we may just have to do this again in a couple weeks because that was fun. This was fun.
Dude, let's do it, man. I tell you what, this is I love my wife and kids, but actually having other human virtual contact has been great. Thank you guys for allowing me to come on here and talk professional wrestling. And let's do it again, man. Let's maybe we can review something.
The weird ass Firefly Funhouse match that'd
be good.
Does this thing let you like watch anything while we're doing this, where we could potentially
we could possibly do we could do a watch along maybe. We could possibly do a watch along. Yeah. I'll have to look into it. There is a possibility of that. Because it does have a place to put another window up where I can actually have a tab or something. So we'll see if we might be able to do that. Still learning this, but we're trying to get it worked out. But definitely, Scott, thank you so much for being a part of this. I knew we had to have you on, man, because like I said, your personality and everything, and we really enjoy having you on, and always a great interview. And I'm truly mean that. So thank you very much for being a part of this. And
definitely. Outbreak Podcast, Outbreak Wrestling. You guys go check them out. Great guys. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you having me. Hey, just remember, if there's one thing about Scott Sexton is no one's ever known, low-key fucking loved Dino Bravo as a kid.
There you go. There you go. Outbreakpodcast.com is our website. You can click on all our social media and stuff from there. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're everywhere. And obviously on, we're also on YouTube. And we're also on iTunes and now iHeartRadio as well. So we're
going to be on Pornhub tomorrow.
Hey, I just see in the live chat, Nick is a professional wrestling manager, I believe in the Tennessee area, and he just said that Scott Sexton should work with Nick. Nick, I tell you what, my man, if I can get back in shape, I can have some matches here. Let's do it. Let's do something in Tennessee or wherever you want to take me, brother. Let's do it and let's have some fun. You do some great promo work. Heel's got a heel, brother. All right. Thanks, guys. That's all I want to say. Thanks, guys.
Oh, yeah, man.
All right, man.
All right.
Love you guys.
Awesome.
Love you guys, man. Thanks.
Adios.
We are out of here. Thanks, guys. See ya. Woo. Oh, yeah. Don't forget to join us next week as we do God knows what. So God knows who, God knows where. Right, buddy?
Yeah. That was awesome, man.
Thanks, man. All right, man. I will talk to you here in a second.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Bye-bye. Subscribe.